grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. Across a shattered galaxy divided by rift and heresy, the angels of death stand eternal. They are the Space Marines Adeptus Astartes, mankind's last salvation and most terrible weapon. And at their head, the bearers of glory and burden alike, stand the chapter masters. Each is a monument to their primarch. Each is a relic of the Emperor's dream. They do not waver. They do not fall. They are the 8 champions of the Imperium's most hallowed chapters. Marneus Calgar, Ultramarines. Upon the marble battlements of Macragge, where the banners of 5,000 victories ripple in the cold, void-born wind, there stands a figure cast in cerulean and gold, honored beyond measure, relentless beyond doubt. He is Marneus Calgar, chapter master of the Ultramarines, warden of Ultramar, twice lord of Macragge, high suzerain of the 500 worlds, and the living embodiment of the Codex Astartes. His is a name etched into the adamantium pillars of the Hall of Heroes, carved beside saints and saviors, held in reverence by billions, and whispered in dread by traitors, Xenos, and heretics alike. Calgar is not merely a commander. He is doctrine given flesh, strategy given voice, legacy given breath. Raised in the shadow of Robut Guillemon, the Ultramarines' gene-father and the author of the Codex, Calgar has become its greatest interpreter. To his brothers, he is the standard against which all discipline is measured. He has waged war upon 100 battlefields against the savage orcs of Caradon, the ceaseless bio-horrors of Hive Fleet Behemoth, the madness of Chaos Renegades, and even the great demonic incursions of the Plague Wars. When worlds burn, when hope flickers to embers, it is often Calgar's banner that rises first into the ash-choked sky. At Zalathris, he held the gates for a full solar cycle, defying wave after wave of traitor marines from the Wordbearer's legion, his fists slick with blood, his armor shattered, but his resolve unbroken. On the shattered carcass of Hive-ship Behemoth, he stood alone against a Tyrannid swarmlord, and though gravely wounded, he slew the abomination. Breaking the creature's chitinous skull with his power fists, the gauntlets of Ultramar, relics said to have once guarded Guilliman himself. When Guilliman returned, reborn through divine artifice and alien lore, Calgar did not claim power or pride. He knelt without hesitation, surrendering his command in totality, offering it not as a servant, but as a son. And Guilliman, seeing in him unwavering loyalty and precision, reaffirmed Calgar as the hammer of Ultramar's rebirth. But Calgar is no unfeeling automaton of protocol. Beneath the ceramite, beneath the glories and ranks, there beats the heart of a warrior who knows the cost of war. He watched as Ultramar bled during the Indomitus Crusade. He endured the vile corruption of Mortarian's Death Guard during the Plague Wars, where even his gene-enhanced physiology could not prevent grievous injury. He was brought to the brink of death, and yet he rose again, reforged in the Primaris Crucible, his mortal form broken and remade by Archmagos Belisarius Call's radical alchemy. The transformation into a Primaris Space Marine did not weaken his will, but instead gave him new strength, an avatar of purity in an age of rot. To his warriors, his survival was a benediction. To his enemies, a death knell that tolls across stars. And to his sons, he speaks the creed of the Ultramarines' iron words, carved from a heart of unflinching loyalty. While we draw breath, we stand. While we stand, we fight. While we fight, we prevail. Nothing shall stay our wrath. Now, as the Imperium fractures, as warp storms consume systems whole, and as chaos gods whisper blasphemies into the ears of men, Calgar holds fast the bastion. His warfleet, Strike Force Macragge, tears through the void in disciplined vengeance. His banner flies high upon Indomitus-era battlefields, beside Guilliman himself. And in the cold corridors of Fortress Hera, deep within the noble heart of Macragge, Calgar's strategic brilliance guides not only his chapter, but entire spheres of imperial command. He is the shield that guards Guilliman's empire. He is the blade that cuts through heresy. He is the Ultramarine perfected. And through him, Ultramar endures not as a relic of the past, but as the beacon of what the Imperium might still become. Commander Dante, Blood Angels. If Marneus Calgar is the Imperium's mind, precise and calculating, then Commander Dante is its burning heart beating still, though weighed by 1,000 years of agony. Lord of the Blood Angels, Regent of the Imperium Nihilus, Warden of Baal. These are not mere titles. They are burdens etched in blood, carried by a warrior who has fought longer than most civilizations have stood. Dante is the oldest living space marine in active service over 11 centuries of unbroken war. While others lie interred within dreadnought sarcophagi, Dante still walks, still fights, still bleeds beneath the twin sons of Baal. His face is ancient, his soul weary, and yet his presence blazes like a solar flare across the blackened void of the Imperium's darkest hour. He is the only chapter master ever appointed to the High Lords of Terra, the ruling body of the Adeptus Terra itself. And he wears not only golden armor, but the very death mask of Sanguinius, a relic crafted in the image of his gene father, the angel himself. When Dante marches to war, it is not merely a commander that leads. It is as if the angel returns, casting judgment upon the enemies of mankind. Dante has fought through 20 Black Crusades, each one more ruinous than the last. He has clashed with champions of the ruinous powers, has endured the rending of the warp, and has faced the laughter of Slaanesh and the rot of Nurgle alike. His sword has drawn the blood of demon princes. His fists have cracked ceramite and chitin and bone. But it was during the devastation of Baal that Dante's legend was forged anew in pain and fire. Hive Fleet Leviathan, the great consuming serpent, descended upon the Baal system like a tide of living knives. Against that monstrous force, Dante gathered every blood angel, every successor chapter, every broken sword and shattered shield. It was not a stand of hope, but one of honor. The last stand of angels, they would come to call it. Amid crimson dunes stained with gore, Dante stood, his armor cracked, his body broken, his chapter dying, yet he refused to fall. Even when death reached for him, it hesitated. And then, as if the emperor himself had stayed the blade, a miracle arrived. Robut Guilliman, Primarch, returned, leading the Indomitus crusade. The sky turned gold as fleets of Primaris reinforcements descended upon the ruins of Baal, scattering the tyrannid swarm like ash in the wind. When the smoke cleared, Dante did not claim triumph. He knelt not in pride, but in shame, in grief. He had lost too many. He had failed his father's world. But Guilliman saw a different truth. "You held the line when no one else could," the Primarch declared. "You did not fail. You endured." And so, Guilliman named him Lord Regent of the Imperium Nihilus, ruler of half the Imperium, a realm severed from the light of the Astronomicon, surrounded by horror and silence and the creeping cold of the endless night. No greater burden has ever been laid upon a single warrior. Dante accepted, not because he believed himself worthy, but because someone had to. Within him rages the Black Rage, that curse of the blood angels which tears at the soul, flooding the mind with the death throes of Sanguinius. Each night he dreams of Horus' betrayal, of the broken body of the angel. He hears his father's scream as the War Master's talon pierced his heart. And yet Dante rises. "We are the sons of Sanguinius," he says. "We do not die easily." Indeed, Dante longs for the peace of death, for the silence, for the embrace of his father. But such rest is denied him. The galaxy will not let him fall. The enemies of mankind still stalk the stars, and as long as one drop of tyrannid blood remains unspilled, as long as the Imperium Nihilus shivers in the dark, Dante must live. He is the last light in a starless realm. He is the angel resurgent. He is the hope of a broken people. And though he carries a coffin's weight in his soul, Dante endures not for glory, not for peace, but because mankind still needs him. Supreme Grand Master Azrael, dark angels, within the shadowed catacombs of the rock, deep beneath the basalt fortresses and censer-shielded vaults of the most secretive chapter in the Adeptus Astartes, there sits a warrior clad not only in armor, but in a silence thick as grave dust. He is known to few, feared by many. He is Azrael, Supreme Grand Master of the Dark Angels, High Lord of the Unforgiven, Keeper of the Lion Helm, and bearer of a secret that has stained the soul of the First Legion for 10,000 years. He is not merely a chapter master. He is a sentinel of shame, a warden of legacy, and a hunter of sins long buried in myth. The Dark Angels were the first of the Emperor's legions, and they bear the name, the First, with pride, but also with a bitter burden. For when the galaxy burned during the Horus Heresy, and loyalty fractured like shattered adamantium, it was not only the traitors who betrayed. A fracture within their own number. The fallen turned their blades upon their brothers. And thus was born a secret so terrible it was entombed within the rock, guarded by silence and centuries of deception. Azrael has inherited this burden. He does not run from it. He commands it. Where others speak with banners and oratory, Azrael speaks with strategy, subterfuge, and the sword of secrets, a master-crafted relic of impossible power, forged for the hand of the Grand Master alone. His other charge, the Lion Helm, is no mere artifact. It is said to radiate the protection of Lion L. Johnson himself, shielding Azrael with a preternatural aura, as if the Primarch's will still lingers upon it. Azrael does not command from thrones or balconies. He commands from within the storm. Under his rule, the Dark Angels and their successor, Chapters the Unforgiven, have conducted countless wars in silence, clandestine campaigns, surgical exterminations, hunts for the fallen in the void between stars. Many of these missions are unknown even to the Inquisition. Many must remain that way. For should the truth escape, should the High Lords of Terra, or worse, the common man, learn that a Loyalist chapter has spent 10,000 years hunting its own fallen brethren, the Imperium would crumble beneath the weight of mistrust and suspicion. Azrael does not care for approval. He is not a politician. He is the blade in the dark, and his loyalty is to the Emperor, not the Imperium's crumbling bureaucracy. When Robert Guilliman returned to the throne world, bearing the light of hope and demanding unity and transparency, Azrael stood firm. The Primarch's words were fire, but the Grand Master did not wither. He offered respect, but not compliance. To expose the secrets of the fallen would be to destroy not only the First Legion, but to risk the damnation of the Imperium itself. We are the first. We are the sword. We do not forget. We do not forgive. These are not words. They are law. They are oath. They are the blade edge upon which Azrael balances duty and damnation. He has personally led the purge of heretic worlds, brought ruin to renegade warbands, and battled daemon hosts and cults with unrelenting precision. He has executed traitors from within the ecclesiarchy itself, all while continuing his secret war, the hunt for the fallen, a crusade that will never end, not until the ledger of betrayal is cleansed in blood. And then The galaxy shifted. From the shadows of the warp, from time lost and unreality reshaped, the Lion returned. Lion L. Johnson, Primarch of the First Legion, lost but not dead, changed but not broken. He emerged during the Arcs of Omen campaign, clad in Baroque armor, wielding a blade of Elderlight, bearing the memories of millennia. And Azrael, at last, beheld his gene-father, not as myth, but as truth incarnate. He knelt, not in penance, for Azrael has never flinched from the burden of truth, but in fealty, in relief, and perhaps in the silent hope that with the Lion's return, the First Legion's exile might finally end. But the war is not done. The fallen still lurk in the warp-racked shadows of real space. The truth still festers behind layers of oaths and secrecy, and Azrael still leads, not as a hero, but as a warden of secrets, too dark to name. He speaks little. He regrets nothing. He endures everything. And when the Lion calls again, Azrael will answer sword in hand, helm raised high, ready to finish a war 10,000 years in the making. Logan Grimnar, Space Wolves. Across the storm-rent skies of Fenris, where the aurora dances with the fires of war, and mountains split like bone beneath the tread of titanic beasts, there strides a figure, both feared and revered, Logan Grimnar, the great wolf, high king of the Space Wolves, warden of the Allfather's wrath. He is the lord of the Vilka Fenrika, a war leader not forged in marble halls or raised on recitation of the Codex Astartes, but tempered in the teeth of Fenrisian winters, in the jaws of monsters, and amidst the howls of 1,000 hunted foes. Where other chapter masters speak of honor, Grimnar speaks with the axe. Where others whisper of doctrine, he roars saga and fury. For over 7 centuries, Logan Grimnar has worn the mantle of Great Wolf, a title passed not by appointment, but by trial, by battle, by the howling judgment of Russ himself, the Wolf King, the Primarch who vanished into the stars and left only his legacy behind. Grimnar has not merely maintained that legacy, he has become it. His name echoes from Fenris to Cadia, from the hallowed halls of the Great Fang to the blasted remains of chaos-racked strongholds. There is no Astartes alive who has slain more champions of the warp with his own hands. His axe, Morkai, named for the death wolf of Fenrisian legend, is a relic that has shattered daemon princes, beheaded warpsmiths, and severed the limbs of champions of Khorne mid-charge. His storm shield, the Axe Eternum, has deflected volleys from Titangent-class weapons, survived psychic firestorms, and still bears the scorch marks from a direct strike by a Warp Talon's lightning claw. But do not mistake him for a mindless barbarian. Logan Grimnar is not a brute with a crown. He is a warlord and a sage, steeped in the lore of the Imperium's hidden history, a reader of omens, a counselor to saints, and a challenger of tyrants. He has walked the silent chambers of the Black Library, argued with Robert Gilliman face to face over the rigidity of the Codex, and has even spoken with living saints, matching wisdom, with zealotry beneath banners, soaked in martyrs' blood. And yet, he remains utterly Fenrisian, unmoved by politics, disdainful of hypocrisy, and unyielding to fear. When the 13th Black Crusade fell upon the galaxy like a tidal wave of blood and blasphemy, it was Logan Grimnar who held the line on Cadia, his forces launching brutal counterattacks amidst the bombardment of the Blackstone fortresses. He clashed blades with the servants of Abaddon, refusing to cede even an inch of ground unless it was drenched in traitor blood. His warriors fell in droves, but never broke. Even in the face of Guilliman's return, when the Primarch demanded unity and discipline, Grimnar stood his ground. He reminded the Lord Commander that Russ was never a servant of paperwork, and the wolves of Fenris bow to no leash fire. To be a space wolf is to be the wolf in the dark, to be the hunter unseen, to slay without remorse. These words, spoken by Grimnar during the Battle of Craddax Maw, were not boast, they were promise, a creed, a eulogy for the dead, and a warning to the living. He rides into battle atop Storm Rider, a war chariot of blackened adamantium and roaring engines, pulled by two colossal thunderwolves, fangs dripping, eyes burning with genetic rage. From atop this death chariot, he leads not from behind, but from the very front of the charge, a vision of old Earth's gods, cloaked in fury and warlight. The wolves howl his name. The stars remember his victories. He has slain sorcerer lords, orc war bosses, and Necron overlords, fought alongside Ragnar Blackmane and Bjorn the Fell-Handed, and stood at the edge of the Cicatrix Maledictum, his frost-rimed armor, crackling with ancient energy, daring the warp to try him. And now, Fenris burns. The sky is torn. The eye of terror yawns wide. But the great wolf does not yield. He is Russ reborn indeed, if not in flesh. He stands atop the mountain of his enemy's bones. He growls oaths to the old gods and dares the new nightmares to challenge him. He will not go quietly into the night. Logan Grimnar remains, not as a relic, not as a figurehead, but as a hunter, a king, and a living weapon of the All-Father's wrath. Captain Darnath Lysander, Imperial Fists, a thunderhead upon the walls of Terra, a hammer-stroke of defiance made flesh. Captain Darnath Lysander, first captain of the Imperial Fists, stands as one of the most indomitable war leaders in the Adeptus Astartes. Though not chapter master by title, in battle and deed he is the very voice of Rogel Dorn's legacy, a living monument to the Imperial Fist's unbreakable creed, endure or die upon the wall. Clad in ancient Terminator warplate, etched with the scars of 10,000 battles, and wielding the Fist of Dorn, a master-crafted thunderhammer that carries the full weight of the Emperor's judgment, Lysander does not charge. He advances a bastion of living ceramite and fury that nothing can move and few survive. He was once lost in the warp, presumed dead by all save the most faithful. His ship vanished during the Zeist reclamation, swallowed by the great ocean. Decades passed. Then, a century. His name became saga and lamentation. But Lysander was not dead. He had been cast into the Iron Warrior's grasp, imprisoned in a fortress tomb of iron and madness. Where any lesser soul would have broken, Lysander became the storm. He turned his fury upon his captors, tore the fortress down from the inside, and returned to the Imperium not as a ghost, but as a retribution made manifest. Where he walks, the enemy knows fear. He has led siege breaks on Daemon worlds, purged Xenos tomb complexes, and shattered traitor legions at the gates of their own bastions. He once led a handful of veterans into the heart of a Necron tomb city, where entire regiments had vanished without trace. He emerged, battered but unbroken, his hammer dripping with alien ichor, and the tomb reduced to shattered obsidian and scorched ruin. He does not retreat. He does not bend. The Imperial Fists were forged as the Emperor's wall builders, his final defense against the tides of heresy and the madness of the stars. Lysander embodies that creed in total. If Calgar is doctrine and Grimnar is fury, then Lysander is resolve itself. When the walls of the Palace of Terra still bore the wounds of the siege of the Horus heresy, it was said that Lysander would kneel before them in silence, placing his gauntlet upon their surface, as if to listen to the echo of Dorn's oath still whispering through the stone. He has no patience for cowardice, no tolerance for compromise, and no understanding of surrender. Stone and steel will speak for us. Let none mistake our purpose. These words are carved into the gates of Phalanx, the Imperial Fists' Void Fortress Monastery, alongside the oathplate of Lysander's personal kill tally so vast that it spans across 2 internal bulkheads. In the face of Abaddon's Black Crusades, Lysander has stood shoulder to shoulder with the defenders of Cadia, rallying the broken, beating back traitor warbands, and defying the warp storms with nothing but bolter fire and blind defiance. He is not subtle, he is not merciful, but when the gates fall and the torches gutter, when the defenders falter and the enemy claws rise to strike, Lysander holds. For him, every war is a wall, every wall a final test. And until it falls, or he does, he will not move. He is the hammer that breaks the siege, the shield that bars the abyss, the voice of Dorn in a galaxy gone mad. Captain Darnath Lysander endures. Forge Father Vulkan Heaston, Salamanders. From the volcanic depths of Mount Deathfire, across the ash-shrouded skies of Nocturne, walks a figure of flame and fury. He is neither king nor priest, yet both in essence. He is the Forge Father of the Salamanders, bearer of sacred fire and living embodiment of his chapter's creed. Vulkan Heaston is not the formal chapter master. He does not sit upon a throne, nor does he lead from the sanctum of command. He leads from the crucible, from the furnace, from the fire. In the traditions of the Salamanders, the Forge Father is a title of spiritual and martial significance chosen by prophecy, guided by fate, and tasked with a holy mission: to recover the 9 artifacts of Primarch Vulkan, scattered across the galaxy in the wake of the Horus Heresy. Heaston is the 3rd to bear this mantle, and many whisper he may be the last. For with each relic found, the Salamanders believe the return of their Primarch draws near, and with it, a reckoning long delayed. Among these relics, he wields the Spear of Vulkan, a weapon forged by the hands of the Primarch himself, said to carry a portion of Vulkan's undying wrath within its fire-cored shaft. Alongside it, he bears the Gauntlet of the Forge, a masterwork meltagun of terrifying power, capable of reducing daemon engines to slag in a single burst. Heaston has walked through the heart of Infernos, through warp-touched wastelands and the nests of tyrannid broods. He once stood alone against the massed hordes of Hive Fleet Jormungandr, wading through rivers of ichor and flame, his armor molten, his soul unshaken. Without the flame, there is no temper. Without the trial, there is no truth. These are not words of metaphor, but of literal truth. For in the creed of the Salamanders, pain is not weakness, it is refinement. To endure the fire is to be worthy. To withstand the forge is to be shaped into a weapon of justice. And yet, unlike many of their brother chapters, the Salamanders do not abandon the innocent in pursuit of victory. They are the protectors of the weak, the rare sons of Vulkan who remember the faces of the mortals they serve. Heaston embodies this virtue more than any other. In the chaos of siege or slaughter, when others would press the advantage, he pauses to lift the wounded, shield the children, carry the broken. He has been rebuked by Guilliman's tacticians for this mercy. He has been praised by saints for the same. To Heaston, the measure of a warrior is not in how many he kills, but in how many he saves while doing it. Still, make no mistake, he is death incarnate when called upon. On the scorched moons of Risa Theta, he incinerated a cabal of word-bearers, their daemonic allies, melting into screaming vapors beneath the gauntlet of the forge. During the Dervac incursion, he was seen standing atop a burning manufactorum, casting down traitor tanks with hammer blows that cracked the ceramite of Chaos Land Raiders like porcelain. Though clad in obsidian black armor, it is the fire in his heart that defines him. Heaston walks the galaxy not just in search of artifacts, but in search of purpose. With each relic recovered, each battle fought, he draws the chapter closer to its destiny and to the long-promised return of Vulkan himself, the Primarch who once vanished into the dark with the vow. I shall return when my sons need me most. Some say Histan is his herald. Others whisper, he is the Primarch reborn, unknowing. Histan himself denies such claims. He says only this: the fire of Vulkan burns in all of us. I am its keeper, nothing more. But when he fights, that fire burns so brightly that even daemons recoil. He carries his chapter's hopes across the stars, through warp and ruin, not as a tyrant nor executioner, but as a servant of flame, a guardian of humanity, a hammer in the dark. Forge Father Vulkan Histan endures, and through him, Vulkan's fire still burns. Kayvaan Shrike, Raven Guard. He is the shadow behind the blade, the winged vengeance of deliverance. Kayvaan Shrike, chapter master of the Raven Guard, is not merely a warrior. He is a phantom of war, a ghost who strikes from the darkness and disappears before his enemy can grasp the truth of his presence. Born amidst the crucible of endless conflict, Shrike rose swiftly from the ranks, his prowess in the Third Company marking him as a natural predator of the battlefield. When Corvin Severax, the former chapter master, fell to the blades of Chaos assassins during the Vigilus campaign, Shrike took up the mantle without hesitation. Since that day, he has reshaped the Raven Guard into something far deadlier than a legion of Marines. He forged them into a weapon of whispers and sudden death. Shrike leads from the shadows, his lightning claws flashing like pale fire in the gloom. His strikes are surgical and final, severing heads of enemy warlords before their guards can cry alarm. Where others wield brute strength, he commands silence and fear. On the broken streets and toxic underhives of Vigilus, he moved like a wraith, unseen and unstoppable. Genestealer patriarchs fell to his precise strikes, their aberrant spawn torn asunder by his blade before they could raise alarm. Chaos war machines were sabotaged in the dead of night, ritual sites desecrated and razed with surgical precision. His mere presence unsettles foes, gnawing at their courage and leaving a void where hope once thrived. To his battle brothers, Shrike's example is a beacon proof that victory belongs to those who embrace stealth and cunning. His leadership transforms the Raven Guard from mere soldiers into shadows that stalk the enemy's dreams. His voice is rarely heard, but when it comes, it lingers like a cold wind through the dark halls of a fortress monastery. Strike from the shadows, kill without warning, leave nothing behind but silence. Kor'sarro Khan, white scars. Lightning on the steppe, wind over the barren plains, a blade that sings death through the void. Kor'sarro Khan, master of the hunt, is the living fury of the white scars, a storm incarnate, sweeping across the stars with a speed that leaves only devastation in its wake. Though he bears not the formal title of chapter master, in spirit and in legend, Kor'sarro Khan is the true heir of Jagatai Khan, the Primarch whose ghost still rides with the tribe. As master of the hunt, he pursues the enemies of humanity with relentless ferocity across centuries, sectors, and war-torn star systems. There is no prey swift enough to elude him, no shadow deep enough to hide from his wrath. He wields the sacred blade Moonfang, a relic passed down through the Khan's line, tempered in the fires of countless battles. This blade has tasted the blood of demons, Xenos warlords, and traitors alike its edge, a whisper of death before the scream. At his side burns the fury of Moondraken, his revered jetbike, faster than the Voxcasters can report, and swifter than the flash of lightning over the steppe. Wherever Khan rides, the ground shatters beneath him, and the sky itself roars in warning. Kor'sarro Khan is the predator who stalks the Gular Crusade, a brutal warlord bent on conquest and slaughter. The Khan's final strike came without warning, beheading the tyrant while moving at speeds that shattered sound barriers. His enemies barely glimpsed the flash before their lives ended. Once, he raced an Eldar autarch across the shattered continents of Fenris Secundus, a brutal contest of speed, skill, and fate. Only one returned from that race, and it was Kor'sarro who stood victorious, his victory echoing through the halls of White Scar legends. His voice is the roar of the storm itself, a promise carried on the wind. We are the storm, the wind that kills, the thunder that strikes, and, when we ride, the stars tremble. When the White Scars charge into battle, it is Kor'sarro Khan who leads the storm blazing across the field, with a fury born of the steppe and the skies, leaving only ruin and glory in his wake. He is not just a warrior, he is the embodiment of speed, of the hunt, of the relentless fury that defines his chapter. And in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, where death is the only certainty, Kor'sarro Khan rides eternal, an unstoppable tempest on the hunt. 8 warriors, 8 legends. They are not gods. They are not perfect. But in a galaxy without hope, they are the shields that hold the line, the swords that strike in the void. Each one bears the legacy of a Primarch, and the fate of billions rests on their shoulders. They do not ask for praise. They do not seek reward. They were made for war, and so long as the galaxy burns, they will fight. In the name of the Emperor, in the name of humanity, for the Imperium